Okay, so what I'll do each week is on Canvas, I'll upload it to YouTube, and I'll just post a link on Canvas. So you just go watch on YouTube. Why do you not like that idea? I'm not saying YouTube is cool, but it's the best way to do it. Otherwise, I have to email you a gigabyte file size thing. That is something, and then how to unfold that. So say, for the sake of your labyrinths, you wanted to loft one chip to another. I'm going to show you how to unfold that, which is useful because then you would go laser cut it. The problem with getting a little behind is I wanted you to do laser cutting this week so that you were able to laser cut your final models. But have some of you just figured that out on your own? I see some people have been laser cutting. Yeah. No? All right. So follow along. Does everybody have Rhino open? Yeah. All right. Let's do a few things. So let's re-go over just this graphic user interface for Rhino if you haven't used it much. Again, when you first open it, you should get 4 viewports like this. And if you double click on the name of the viewport, it should zoom in. It'll zoom into that viewport. Okay? So top is the plan view. And let's just do something real quick just to demonstrate this. There are these great 3D modeling programs. Here, let's make a cube, okay? Okay, I made a cube. And if I change this from wireframe to shaded, I can see that it's a cube. Okay, again, so you see shaded. Everybody draw a cube real quick, and then let's look at it in different ways. So here's what it looks like as a wireframe. It just looks like lines. Shaded. It's got a little bit of shading. Rendered looks like that. So you see shadows, the way light would hit it. You don't want a 3D model in rendering because it's very processor intensive. So it's going to slow you down a lot. So I would go, I like ghosted. So look, it's shaded and wireframe at the same time. So I would recommend using ghosted. Hannah? Hannah? What's your name? You in my class, what's your name? Yes. Oh, Camila. Why are you not on your laptop? Well, then don't be on your phone. Share with your friend. Put the phone away, guys. Okay, so wireframe and shaded at the same time. This is called ghosted. Another one I like is X-ray. It's kind of both simultaneously, but I like ghosted. There's a little bit of like depth. Technical starts to look like a hidden line. It's kind of nice. Artistic. I don't know what that is. It's weird. And then pen. Okay. I don't know exactly what those are. Flat shade. Anyway, I like ghosted. I recommend you model in ghost. In ghosted viewport. Now look, if I double click, where is that object? If I select it here, Brian, are you following along? If I select it here in perspective, and then come up here to the magnifying glass and right click, it'll center it in all viewports. Right? So here it is in plan. Here it is in front view and right view. Again, this is not an architecture program. It's just a general 3D modeling program. So it doesn't call it plan, elevation, section, isometric. It's not an architectural, it's not really intended for architects, yes? Let's do it again. So in each viewport, wherever I am, say I'm over here, and I want to look at that, I'll just click it or drag a window over it, and then see at the top the magnifying glass? If I click that, it zooms selected. You can also type zoom selected. So if I'm over here, I can just type zoom, enter, and then I can click on this option that says selected.
The one that has the plus or the magnifying glass?
No, hover over it and it'll tell you what it is. It's the one with the highlighted, the yellow circles, which generally Rhino turns whatever you selected yellow. But a useful tool is that, you know, because I might be like way off in space in each one of these viewports. So if I select it here, this is the nice thing about Rhino, you can work across 4 viewports simultaneously. If I select it in my perspective, and then instead of left clicking here, if I right click, it brings it into view in all viewports. Again, each one of these is showing it as a wireframe at the moment, so I would turn each one to ghosted. Okay, and that grid in the background, I find it's not that necessary. I don't really use Rhino to draft things. I use AutoCAD to draft and draw, and then I use this for 3D modeling. So I like to get rid of the grid. So if you just type grid, it should be able to turn it off. Show grid, I'll click that to no. And then I want to do it in each viewport. So I'll click here. Show grid. Huh. Let's try it again. Grid. There. So I have to do it for each one. But I recommend you just turn it off. Okay, so a few things to get set up for us to go that's going to make it a little easier. And then also, do you remember so when you first open Rhino, it looks like this. I think it's a flat background. There's a few things you can do. You can change the color of your background if you want. Again, my grid view is here. I want to get rid of this. Show grid, no. Okay. But I like, sometimes things are gray and they all kind of blend in. So again, on Windows, if you're using Rhino for Windows, you can type GRA, and that's a shortcut for gradient view. How many of you are using Rhino for Mac? Who wants to be the Rhino for Mac guru? You can do it. What's your name? Alberto? See if you can find, write down gradient view. See if you maybe do a Google search. Try to find out how to do it for Mac. I've never figured it out. Okay? See if you can figure that out and let us know. It would be great. You don't have to do it now if you want to tell us in the next class.
If you have a thing on the side, you can do it like the little TV, the display. You see it like over there on the right.
This?
TV, yeah. Instead of use application settings, you would change that in background.
I don't see background. Oh, here.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. 4 colors. This would be cool. Let's try this. I'm just curious with this. What's your name? Thomas? All right, extra credit for Thomas. So how do we get to do that?
I've never tried it before.
Uh-oh. Maybe don't do this. It didn't really do it. All right. That's okay. Just stick with this. All right. And anyway, so try. You could experiment with that a little bit if you want. Also over here. There's your help tab. Okay. So let's stick with properties. All right. So the first thing I want to do, play around with this, guys. So you'll have to get used to like rotating around things. If you hold on Shift and the right button, it pans, and then if you zoom in and out, scroll in and out, it zooms in and out. Okay? So what I want to do, let's just use that. Often you're going to want to like assign colors to these things. Just like in AutoCAD, you could be very deliberate about layers. Your layers are over here. Can you see over here this layered cake icon? So you can make new layers. All right, we can do this. And we could, you know, change the color of each layer. So like if I take this and then in properties, put it on layer 1, it's going to be whatever layer 1 is. So you know, layer 1 is that. I'm going to change that to red. Layer 2, I'm going to change to cyan. Right, so if I copy and paste this, if I highlight it, select copy and paste, I'll put this on layer 2. What'd you say? How? Everybody try this on Mac. Go to display tab. Display tab or type it? Display properties. Did you find like a process for doing that? Or did you find like a step-by-step process? Or are you just narrating this yourself? Oh, okay. Let's do this. At the end, I'll have Alberto come plug in. I don't want to risk disconnecting because it could take a long time. But at the end, maybe you can come up and show it. What? We'll show it at the end. I don't want to get off track with this. All right, so again, look, I can highlight both of these. Assume selected, it's going to show both. Right? Why do I only see the blue in here? Guys, let's do it at the end. It's not that important. But we will show it at the end, all right? So Mac users, don't leave at the end. All right, so what we want to do, we want to start in the top view. Let's just kind of quickly redo our exercise from assignment 1. What's their name in front of you? What is your name? You? Yes. Carlos? Or do you have a computer? Sharing? All right, follow along. Go to the top viewport. We're going to start with a rectangle. Click on, I'm going to generally say the command and then show you where it is. But even without the toolbars that I had, you could still use Rhino. You can just type commands. And generally the command is whatever you're trying to do. So the command for rectangle is just rectangle. If you start typing it, it pops up. It asks us the first corner. So we're going to click here. We're going to draw in this direction. What did I do wrong already? I forgot to set my units, right? So the first thing we want to do is type units. Okay, I'm in inches. That's good. I like to use feet and inches because we're architects. Engineers use that. We use this. Okay? All right. So now I've set my units. I'm going to go to rectangle. I can type rectangle or click on the button. And I'm going to start drawing. It's going to say other corner of or length. So I'm just going to type a length. I'm going to type 17 inches. And now it's going to ask me for the width. I'm going to type 11 inches. Okay? Does everybody have that? Just type rectangle, click, and now just enter 17 inches and then 11 inches. Okay? All right, so here it is. I'm gonna put this on layer 2 so that it's that color. All right, and what I want to do is draw a few lines. So there's a couple of different commands for lines in Rhino. You can just type line, which is just going to let you click 2 points and it'll draw a line. So here's a line, L-I-N-E, and I can go like this. And notice it only lets me draw north, south, east, west. That's because I have ortho on down here. Can you see this little tab at the bottom? See my mouse? So if you click that off, then I can draw in any direction, which I kind of want to do now. Okay, so there's line, as opposed to polyline. So usually the default is set to, if you type PL, well, let's just type the whole command. Let's type polyline, and I'll show you how to set up command shortcuts. Like in AutoCAD, usually TR is trim. You don't have to type the whole word. And you can set up shortcuts. I'll show you how to do that in Rhino as well. So polyline, if I type polyline, watch what happens with polyline. It just keeps going wherever I click, right? Because it's a line made of multiple lines, and I click enter. Okay? So you could do polyline, and you can still do, I generally just always use polyline, even if I'm only clicking twice. So maybe I'll click here and here, click enter, click here and here. I'm going to do like a fan shape. I'm going to fold up a fan shape. And do you guys all understand snaps from AutoCAD? How to snap to things? Just in case you're curious, the snaps are all down here. And one thing that is nice, you see all the snaps down here? Say that you're drawing, say that I start a line and I want to go from the end to the center, but I say sometimes you have a lot of things selected and it's snapping all over. So I just want the center. You can come right click on center and it will turn everything else off. And you can do that mid command, which is nice. Why is it still doing intersect? And then you can come click it again and it'll turn everything back on. So if you right click, a few useful tools. Okay. So I'm going to do like a fan shaped folded piece of paper. And somebody was asking me about the pyramid demo that we showed, if you can just make a pyramid and then distort it. You can generally do that for everything in Rhino. So look, if I select these lines, I can come over here and turn, click, it's called edit points. So do you now see that the end of each line has a point? And if I select that point and type M for move, now I can move the points around. And see, it redefines the line. Is everybody with me on this? So try editing your points on your lines. Okay, so I got something like that. I want it to be a little less. I can grab all of these, for instance, and move them all as a set. See that? And then click enter or escape. Sorry, what's that? How do I get them? Select the lines that you want, and then look, the command is over here. Can you see over here? It shows a line with points, so there's points on and then points off. So just click it, and then it will ask you, which objects, and click enter. And if you right click, that's the same as enter. Okay, this is useful. You can also do it for this rectangle, right? So I can turn the edit points on here. I can move this around. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to click escape now. So what I want to do is I want to fold a surface along these fold lines. Yeah. So one thing is I don't need these lines extending out. I'm going to turn ortho on, and we can set a shortcut to turn ortho on and off with like usually F8 or something like that works. So I want to trim these. What's the command for trim? Just trim. Trim, it asks me select cutting objects. I'm going to select the frame and click enter, and then I'm just going to trim all the excess off. Okay? It's like giving a bowl cut. Put the bowl. Trim the hair. Okay. Barbara, are you with me? Using Rhino for Mac? Yeah. Are you at this point?
Yeah, I did the point thing, but what I'm trying to do is do the triangle. And
don't do the triangle yet.
Okay.
I'll show you how to do that. Also, guys, I really recommend that you don't try to 3D model using your trackpad. Like, get a mouse. This is like a $4 mouse on Amazon. Don't even get a wireless mouse. Just get one you can plug in. Sometimes I come to your desk, like, oh, the batteries died. You don't need batteries for this. Just plug it in. Okay? Here we go. The next step. I'm going to keep copying and pasting as I go. I can even, like, show you this file, share the file later if you want. Okay, so you see I want to fold along the red lines, and if I select them, they turn yellow. So what's the first thing that we need to do? Do you remember? We need to make this a surface. What's the command? Okay, so we can do planar surface. Type it in, P-L-A-N-A-R, enter. And just for reference, there's a few commands we can use. We can do patch. And I can click preview. Look at that. So we want to do automatic trim. Click preview. Patch, you can reduce the amount of subdivisions. Patch works on if you have a curve that is not flat, that's not planar. So sometimes you do planar surface and it will say it's not a planar curve, meaning it's not It's not all in plane. And a planar curve is one you project on a flat plane. So patch is useful, but think of what the word patch means. It's like to fix a problem. But the problem is still there. The hole is still in your tire, but you've patched it. And it could come back to haunt you later. I recommend that if it says it's not a planar curve, that you fix the curve. Because there's like a hierarchy. And if the lines are disorganized and the surfaces are, a patch, and then you're trying to trim things they won't trim, it'll lead to problems later. So let's do planar surface. Sorry, we'll do planar surface here, and then I'll show you one other way to do it. Another way to do it would be to draw two lines. So we could type polyline from here to here and here to here. And I can select these lines. I'm going to move them over. So I've got the ends. So I couldn't do a planar surface here because it's not a closed curve. So if I type it, it's not going to work. See, it says no faces were made. Curves must form a closed planar loop. But for here to here, I can just type loft. Okay? And it will basically loft in between two curves. And again, those curves don't need to be flat to loft, but that's another way to make a surface. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that and just delete this. We'll go over a lot of these commands as we go. The next step that we want to do, and I'm going to change the color of this to cyan, and I'm just putting these on two different layers. And if anybody wants me to back up, we can do that. Is everybody with me up to this point? Okay, yes?
Is there any way that you can select the lines and change the layer for those ones so I can audit that?
Yeah, that's what I did. Look, so if I select the lines, I come over here to layer, and I'm putting those on layer 1. And I set layer 1 to be this red color. So it's a kind of easy way to, not have to reset things. But the next step is to split the surface, right? There is a fold command, but it's not necessary. Trimming, splitting, moving things works just fine. So let's take this and let's split it along these lines. Watch me do it and then try it yourself. I'll give you like 30 seconds. Okay, so everybody look up. We'll type split. Select the objects to split. I want to split this, and I'll click enter. And now it's small. It says select cutting objects. So I'm just going to select all those and click enter. Okay, and now they're all separate. So I'm going to change the color of the intermediate ones. I'm going to put those on a different layer just so you could see them. Okay, you see that? Everybody try that. What's your name in the back? Amelie? Emily? Are you here? Are you close? How did I turn it red? I just selected these. You can either select them and hold down shift. So select 3. And then you can come over here to properties and I can just go display color and change it red. You have that, Emily? No? Try to do that, everybody. Let's go back to split. Okay, everybody watch again. Okay, I'm going to look. So I copied. I recommend you copy and paste. Look, if you look at what I'm doing, I'm leaving a history here. So I go from here to here, and I'm going to type split. The object to split is this, so I click it and highlight it and then click enter. And then it says select cutting objects, so I'm selecting these lines. I can do it one at a time, or I can just pick a window and type enter. So now if I click, you see that surface is split into like 6 different surfaces. Are you there? Try that, Emily. Everybody else there? Now you can select every other one. And again, you can just set the display color like that. And now let's copy and paste it again over to here. And now I want to look at this in 3D. Okay? So let me save this.
Does it have to be on a different layer for it to be a cutting?
No. No.
Just gotta go all the way through.
Yeah, it needs to extend to the edges. Otherwise, you know, if you try to cut
Yeah.
a log in half, but you don't cut all the way through, it stays connected. Okay, is everybody here? Let's look at it in 3D. So look, I'm looking at my cubes. I want to look at this. So I'm going to select it here in plan. Everybody look up. Look up. Amaya, are you with me? Okay, I'm going to select it here, and I'm going to right-click so it brings it into view everywhere. So it looks like nothing in the side view because it's paper thin. In fact, it's thinner than paper. It has zero thickness. And I'm going to expand my 3D view. I'm going to come here, and I can move around it like this. Okay? And I'm going to start to fold this thing up. So let's start with this corner piece. I'm just going to select it. And what is the command I'm going to use? Rotate 3D. If I just type rotate, center rotation, I click here, it only lets me rotate, you know, flat. Right? But I want to rotate in 3 dimensions. And this is the best tool. You can basically do everything that every contemporary architect is doing formally with like Rotate 3D and Loft. It doesn't have to be much more complicated than that. So we're going to select this. I'm going to click this and type Rotate 3D. See it there? The shortcut is, this is the command. You see this icon? It shows rotate. And if you hover over it, if you left click, that's 2D rotate. And if you right click, that's rotate 3D. So the first thing it asks is the rotation axis. So I want to rotate along this edge. So I'm going to click here and then here. And I want to get rid of some of these snaps. You don't have to do this right now. But anyway, so it asks the angle or first reference point. So what I'm going to do is draw out here. Okay, I'm going to go click on the tip and see it draws that circle, which shows the rotation point around that axis. I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to start to move around. I'm going to turn off ortho so I can I can rotate whatever I want around this axis. So I'm going to go. And if you look, you can kind of tell, like, that's 90 degrees. This is 180. So this would be like, 135. Let's type 135. Right? So I could be actually precise about it if you were to write rules for your friend. And then that is selected, so I could leave it selected and hold on Shift and select another one. And now I'm going to rotate these as a set. So I'll take Rotate 3D. I'm going to define this axis point. Again, I'm going to draw it to the tip. And it might not select the tip. It might show it out there. Okay, and now I'm going to start rotating down. Okay, is everybody doing this? You're 3D modeling. Congratulations. Did you have a computer? Yeah. You guys, you have to bring a computer.
How do you do that so that the other shapes stay with the other one?
You just either select them both. So like for instance, now I'm going to select this one. I'm going to hold down Shift, select this one, and then select this one. And you'll rotate them as a set. So rotate 3D. I'm just going to go through and fold this whole thing up, and then I want you to try it. Okay? And I don't care that the lines are staying back there. I don't really need them. Make sure you're precise about where you're clicking in your snaps. Okay, and it stays selected at the end of the rotation, so you can just hold down Shift and select another one, and then click Enter. If you just click Enter, it will repeat the last command. Okay, now I'm going to copy this over. So you see how we've gone Okay, so see our history here. We've gone from here to here to here. Okay. Is everybody there? Who has successfully done this? Or let's not say successfully. No judgment. Who's done this, sort of? Okay. Who's having problems? What are the problems you're having? Have you gotten to here? How do you add the color to this?
Yeah, I selected the square, I did the lines, and
Did you split it first?
But do you select everything when you're splitting it?
Let's split it again. Watch how I split it. I'm going to copy and paste this down. Okay? Everybody pay attention one more time. So here's this. This is one surface, right? And I want to split these lines. I'm just going to type split. Object to split this one. Click enter. And then I'm going to select the lines. These are my cutting objects. And then I'm going to click enter. And now it has turned them into all these individual surfaces. Right? Try that again. Okay, so we folded. You probably are not going to fold nearly as much in your career as you're going to unfold a lot of things. Okay? So we're going to try to do the opposite of this. But there you go, guys. There it is in a nutshell. That is going from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions. And folded structures, have you ever seen a folded plate structure? Like they're very strong. This is a whole type of actual structures. Look at this. Isn't this beautiful? Look at this. A folded wood structure. It's amazing. Like folded concrete structure. So when you fold a thin surface, it gets strong. This is the Air Force Academy Chapel in Colorado Springs. So it's a very useful thing to do. 9:15, the class is almost over, so I want to do something real quick. Can you guys, I actually have a class at 9:30, but can you guys stay till 9:30? Some of you have to leave right on time. Try to do something really quick. Okay, so we have this. I'm happy to save this Rhino file and put it on Canvas if you want to download it, although maybe just watch the video and try to go through it again. Let's do one more thing that we've been trying to do in Studio. Let's 3D model something and then let's fold it up. Okay? So again, in plan view, what I want to do first, I want to draw 2 different end conditions, say, for your labyrinths. So say I want to enter, through a tall, narrow door, and I want to exit through a long, horizontal door. Or for Barbara's sake, say I want to enter through a triangular door, like a tall, narrow triangular door. Yeah? And then I want to exit through a low triangle. Okay? You remember the Peter Zumthor chapel I showed had a triangular front door. All right, so these are the beginning and end points I want to take. So in 3 dimensions, here they are flat. Jeez. Okay. I like to copy as I go. So if, as I work on things, I don't permanently mess them up. I want to stand these up first, right? So I'm going to select them. And the command to stand them up is to rotate 3D. I'm going to select the base. I'm going to click along the base. I'm going to stand this one up. Okay? So now they're vertical. I had ortho on, so I stood them up vertical. You don't even have to do them vertically. I'm going to move this one I'm going to move this one in line with that. And now I'm just going to move it along this length. And I could draw a line, for instance, say I draw a line from here. I can just start drawing and I can type 20 feet. There's a 20-foot path. Okay, so here's my path. So a really easy way to make this surface is just to loft. So I can select this and this. And I'm going to type loft. Select curves to loft. This one, and I'm going to click enter, and then click enter. It's pretty cool. Okay, there's a few options that you have here. And you want to use this preview button. So it says the style is normal. Normal. Here's loose. Might not change much. Tight. Because these are triangles, these are more for like curved lines. If you loft a curved line, it's going to be tight when it selects tight. Say you do a developable surface. Have you guys heard of a developable surface? Like Calatrava's buildings are developable, meaning you can construct them out of straight lines. Frank Gehry's buildings are not developable. Like, you can't simplify the surface into straight. If you cut a section through a Frank Gehry building, you never get a straight line. But this one, for instance, this is developable, meaning, here, let's loft it again. So hit enter at the end. And if I slice a section through this, so if I draw a line, see, I draw a cut plane like this, and I intersect this, which I'm going to make. If I intersect these two objects by typing intersect, see, it gives me another triangle made of straight sections. Yeah. So it's always, so I can just take a piece of wood and cut it to length. I don't have to bend anything, even though the shape of the space is like twisting and not flat. That's what I like about shapes like this. So we are going to do an exercise on this where I'm going to have you make like wacky surfaces and then show you how to slice them and construct rib systems and basically be able to do what Frank Gehry does in only your third semester of school. Okay? Yes?
How did you get the section again? Like what command did you type?
I drew a plane and I intersected it.
Does it intersect?
Yeah, I mean if you want to do that, yeah, so you can just draw a line. Another way to do a surface like we did, guys, is to just draw a line and then select that line and use the command called extrude curve. See it here? And so look, it's going in two directions. I can do one direction. So right now it's going both sides. So I can do one direction. I can change the direction by typing D, and I can extrude in this direction. So it's another way to make a surface. But I did that to make a surface, and then I intersected it with that just to illustrate the point. But, okay, here's a good example, though. This is a, so these are flattened, these are kind of twisted planes. And if you twist a plane, it'll pull in the center. So if I unroll this, if I flatten this, I'm not really able to flatten this just by using 3D rotate. Let me demonstrate. So I'm going to copy this. We'll be done in about 3 minutes. So I'm going to select this and explode it. Okay, it's hard for me to unroll that. You see the problem. If I do rotate 3D, and then I, select this, the piece itself is not flat, right? So I need to flatten it. And there are some commands in Rhino to do this. I'll show you quickly. Experiment with them if you want. So this is one way to do it. And if I wanted if I wanted that to be my process, I would do something else. I would remodel this using triangles. So the best way to model something and to always have flat planes, you can't really draw a non-flat triangle. If you click just 3 points, they'll always be planar. But once you introduce a fourth point, it might be out of plane, right? So, for instance, these surfaces are defined by 4 points, right? This face. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4. If I turn the points on, you see them here. One here, one here, one here, and one here. So the other way to do this would be to just draw a triangle. So I'm going to type polyline, click enter, and I'm going to click from here, up to here, up to here, back down to there, then here, to here, to here. So I basically redrawn that surface using 2 triangles. Now how do I turn these triangles into surfaces? Planar surface, right? So now I can type planar surface. There's one. Here's another one. I can come over here and again do polyline. This is a good way to quickly sketch surfaces that you know for sure you can flatten them and laser cut them. And sometimes they actually introduce interesting qualities. So again, planar surface. Planar surface. Okay? And then the bottom is not going to be a problem because it actually is in plane. Okay, so to flatten this, so the bottom, I'm just going to draw, and I can look underneath it. I'm going to do a polyline. Sorry, polyline. I'm going to click here, 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 and here, and select that curve. I'm going to type planar surface. Okay, so now I have these. I'm going to change them to cyan. Okay. Maybe I'll do like the other one. Well, I'll make every other one red just so you can see this a little easier. Okay, do you see that? All right, now I want to unfold this. I recommend you start modeling in this way. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to unfold this side. So I'm going to do rotate 3D. Oop. Click on the N. I'm going to take both of these things, right? Okay, so that came out. This one went too far, so I'm going to rotate it back up. And be sure when you're doing this, you have ortho selected. So you'll click here. It'll always click flat. See that? Now I'm going to take this side. All right. Make this one red. And so to laser cut this, we'll go over laser cutting maybe in Monday's class. But briefly, if you just go to Mike Bisnet's Fab Lab, Print Lab, and say I want to laser cut something, and you have this, really all you need are the curves. So I can select all of these things, and I can type the command dupe edge or duplicate border. I'm going to duplicate border. I'm just going to move those lines over here. Okay? And so you can cut these lines. It'll cut these lines, and each of those pieces will come out, and you can glue them together. That make sense? It's pretty basic, but there's a lot of steps there. I think it's a good place to start. So why don't each of you try to model what we call like a zero-turn labyrinth? I think and I'll add this to the presentation material for Monday. Let's make that this assignment for this class, and then it'll be, also due in the other class. You know what I mean by that? So a zero turn. Don't worry about 2 turns, 8 turns. Just define your beginning point and your end point, and just model that. And that'll be a nice little diagram model that you can build. Make sense? Any questions? Well, since the pinup is Monday, do this for Monday so that you have it for your pinup. So it counts for both. And maybe we'll replace the other assignment with this one instead. Okay, yes? Okay, guys, everybody, I'll type it up. For Monday, I want you to 3D model a zero-turn labyrinth. So it's just a straight path. So basically to do this, define your beginning point and your end point. It could be 2 triangles, it could be 2 rectangles, it could be a circle that ends in a square, and loft them together and then unfold them. You could cut them by hand even and just fold them up and glue them together. It would be easy. You could print this out on a piece of paper. I want a physical model also, yeah. Because you'll present it, you're going to present it at your final review for the labyrinth.
So should it correspond to our labyrinth? Or?
It should correspond to the starting and end conditions of your labyrinth. So then your 32 turn is going to begin as a tall, narrow triangle and finish as a low, wide triangle or whatever. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you.